back to the So Fresh Podcast. I'm your host, BK.
And I'm your host, J. Steve.
J. Steve, what's going on?
Nothing much, brother. We're just going to have a young lady come in here today and give us some information about nutrition. We're continuing this health and wellness segment. So, like we said, 2022, we're going to keep it rolling. And keep going, brother.
And I'm still fighting that battle, trying to put health first and keep my health first. Mm-hmm. And like I say, we just want to have these discussions. And I think that every time we have a discussion, it might not be for everybody, but this is one of the ones that I want to have, or we want to have, is talking about nutrition and talking about health.
Right.
If you remember back, we had Charmaine come on, Charmaine Turner, with Exalting Wellness.
Exalting Wellness, right.
Yeah, and so now we've got Kajal Patel. She's going to come on and talk about Svast Nutrition. And so we're going to get into some topics about
nutrition testing, and things like that. Yeah.
Disease and
milk.
And is the food killing us? What do we need to be eating? You know? So I want to go ahead and give it up for Kajal Patel.
Yes. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, everyone.
How you doing?
Good. I love the cheering on for me. This is fun. Yeah. So you're getting, I guess, you guys already know now I'm a Sagittarius.
Yes.
That's very important.
Yes, it is.
Yes, because you're going to feel that energy for those of you guys that understand Sagittariuses. But yeah, my name is Kajal Patel. So correct, I'm an applied clinical nutritionist. I graduated from this school that was previously called New York Chiropractic College. And it's now called like the Northeast College of Health Sciences. So they changed the name. I don't know how I feel about that, but that's what I felt like I needed to tell you.
Like they got rid of your alumni. Like, hey, that's not the name that
that's not the name anymore. But no, but I'm also an advanced clinical nutritionist that specializes in advanced technique called nutrition response testing. It's a muscle testing technique. There's over 1,000 of us around the country that do this. And I was very lucky to come across this type of nutrition type of technology about 12 years ago. And before that, like I said, I was a special education teacher. You guys were mentioning that. We were talking about that off air a little bit. And how I ended up becoming a nutritionist is because I really got tired of being a special ed teacher.
Right.
And what
Simple
made
as that.
Yeah, really. What made me so angry, I was angry. I know I don't sound angry right now, but I was super angry then. And what made me so frustrated and angry about being a special ed teacher is I just didn't feel like I was really making a difference. And I didn't really feel like I liked these kids being put on all these medications and drugs. So I kind of took it personal, right? Around that time that I was deciding I should do something different, I was pregnant with my son. And I was just thinking that what if somebody tried to make me put my child on a medication, like try to make me take my child to a doctor because I don't know, maybe he's having a hard time focusing or whatever his problem is. I think I would hate that. And I know I have all this knowledge, but there's so many parents out there that just don't know all the options they have for their children. And I just felt like I was in a bad position all the time, being stuck in these meetings, having to talk about medications and testing and this, that. And I just had enough of it. So I was at my nutritionist office in Atlanta. And I was laying down on her table because, we do muscle testing. So we're laying on a table, like a massage table. My right arm is in the air. She's matching my pressure. We're doing this muscle testing technique. And she's like, what's going on with you? Are you stressed about something? I said, hell yeah, I'm stressed. She goes, what's wrong? I was like, I hate being a teacher. And
get me out of here.
Yeah. And she was like, yeah. And she was like, yeah, I understand. I was like, well, if somebody had freaking told me about these other careers in my life, like I could be doing this nutrition thing, or I could have been a chiropractor or something like that, I would have never been a special ed teacher. I probably would have done something else, Well,
what got you into the special education part from the beginning?
Well, so yeah, that's a good question. So my entire life, I always spent thinking about helping people and not helping people in like a community service type of manner, which I did do a lot of community service. Like I used to love working with like special needs groups and volunteering at nursing homes and places like that. Well, I would like sing at nursing homes or I would work for these like rehab centers or therapy
Just trying
centers.
to help the community as a whole, period, wherever you could.
And I've loved it. I mean, my first dance was with this 18-year-old boy who had trisomy 21, or most people know that as Down syndrome. Yeah, this was my first dance I've ever had in my life. I was volunteering at one of these centers, and this young guy would come through the food line over and over and over again to get the beans and weenies.
Right.
And because I was serving them, and and then he was like, he looked up at me and he goes, "Can you dance?" I was like, "What do you mean, can I dance?" He's like, "Can you dance?" And I said, oh, okay. I think he's asking me to dance. So, so this is my heart's always been in this field. So I studied really hard and became a sped teacher. I'm an Indian girl. And so my family was really pissed off at me that I picked a career like this, because everybody else is in school to be an engineer, doctor, an accountant, or a pharmacist. They were going to graduate and make like tons of money, like swim in it. Then they were going to get arranged marriage to like someone else like them.
Right. So you've always just been breaking the mold.
Yeah, always.
That's wrong breaking the mold.
No, I agree. Now that I'm grown, I hope my kids are not listening to all this, but so they're not disobedient. But basically, my parents are pissed at me, and then I went to like a really good school, George Washington University. You guys know that school? It's one of the best schools out there for education, and got myself a scholarship and everything, and fought tooth and nail to be able to get a degree in special ed and to be and I was an inner city school teacher. I did all these things, and then moving forward, when I finally decided I don't want to be a teacher anymore, this is so stupid. It's like the stupidest career. So really, I wish I could come up with a more eloquent way of explaining what it is, but I really just was like, this is so dumb. How can I do this till I'm like, 60 years old?
Did you think like, man, my folks was right to be mad at me?
Yeah, I know,
like,
but I should have listened.
I should have just done what they said. I should have just went to school. And
this is crazy.
I should have been a pharmacist.
No pharmacist. But definitely, yes, I never said that out loud. So you're making me say that today because I don't want my parents to be right.
Transparency. That's what we do on this show here. We keep it wide open, 100.
I'm sure they thought like I'm like the biggest flop child. Like everybody else is a cardiologist and shit. And here's my daughter. What's your daughter do? Yeah, she goes to George Washington University. Oh, is she in medicine? No, actually.
She's a special ed teacher.
They didn't even know that. They didn't even understand that I was a special ed teacher. They didn't really know. Yeah, they didn't even know what I was really doing. But my dad was proud I went to a good school, so at least that helped. But yeah, so moving forward, it's like officially, I had to start all over again. Can you believe that? So now, not only is there a whole trail of people that disagree with everything I've already done up to this point, now I have children in the mix, a child in the mix, a husband in the mix, more family in the mix, getting in my 30s, this is about to be like crazy.
And what area were you living in during this time?
Well,
when you were starting to make that transition?
So I went from, I originally started teaching in Atlanta and then moved to DC, taught in DC for a couple years. Came back to Atlanta, so I taught East Atlanta and Clarkston.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Do you know where Clarkston is? Yeah, that's a fun little neighborhood area. I taught a lot of rough neighborhoods. I grew up in a rough neighborhood, so it was okay.
Oh yeah, that's right. We talked about that off air.
Yeah, but I grew up on the west side of Montgomery. In case any of you guys need to know where I'm from, but I basically, then got married in 2009 and moved to this Warner Robins area.
Right.
Never really knew this place existed. It was just something I would see on the highway on my way down to Florida when I'm like going to go to Miami for the weekend, having fun, and got married. So I started teaching here, and I taught in this place called Cordial.
Okay. Yeah. That's right down the street from where I live. I live in Perry. So that's about 40 minutes from where I am.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't fit in over there. So
yeah, Cordial's a little different.
Yeah, a little different.
It was definitely different.
There's still let's put it this way: you go to the Walmart in Cordial, there's nothing on the shelves.
Oh,
yeah, it's one of those type of places. It's like the movie theater literally is like our old Rama theater. We had like 3 or 4 screens.
That's old school.
That's their big movie theater still. So Cordell's a little.
So I'm this like Whole Foods, Trader Joe's.
Yeah, using the wrong place.
Yeah, what's a norm? Well, we don't have Neiman Marcus anymore. And somehow I end up in Cordell. And I just remember the first day I was teaching. This has nothing to do with nutrition, but the first day I was teaching there, I asked the kids what did they do on their summer break, and they were talking about how they took their guns all week. They went.
They didn't go pick no watermelons.
I was like, your guns? What are you guys doing with guns? Remember, I was an inner city school teacher, so I'm like, guns are not a good thing.
Guns are bad.
Yeah, well, apparently they go hunting. Anyway, that has nothing to do with nutrition. But, all the culture shock that I, had to,
just being in this area.
Yeah.
It changed,
I hated it. I just didn't like teaching anymore. I loved the kids. I just didn't like, I felt like I really wasn't making a difference, and I wasn't on purpose. So started all back over with school. Had to find a whole bunch of money to learn how to do all this stuff while having a kid, while having a husband who travels all the time, not really having full support from everyone.
Right.
I know my family's going to listen to this and they're going to be like, now that I'm like very successful, they don't remember all that.
We knew you could do it.
Yeah, that's what they say. But I guess I kind of remember the difficulty that they put me through, so I still had to manage to bring home an income. And learn this and take care of a kid. Like I had a lot on my plate, but I refused to give up. And which, if we're all Sagittariuses here.
Yeah.
Don't give us a challenge.
We'll take it.
Put me in the corner. I'm coming out fighting.
Well, we're going to come out better than you thought.
Yeah, I'm at my best when you kind of doubt me.
I love that.
Challenge
when
me.
you doubt me, it's like, oh, you just.
Yeah, what did you just say? What did you just do?
You got me riled up. Like,
Yeah.
I'll prove it to you.
Yeah.
I don't think you can do that. Oh,
Watch me do it. Watch me do it by like next week. That's exactly how I am.
Yeah. So let's talk about that transition from special education or just education teacher. So what was that defining moment, that aha moment? And what was your first gig? Like, how did you get started?
So the aha moment was that I was about to be forced into some meeting to try to tell this parent that they need to take their child to see a doctor.
Right.
And I couldn't do it.
Because that doctor probably was going to end up putting that child on medication or something like that.
And in my eyes, there was really nothing wrong with this child. There were definitely things that we as teachers could be doing to support this child, but it's just not, sometimes the system's not set up that way. And I felt guilty. I couldn't sleep. And that's how I ended up at my nutritionist office with my arm up. And when I brought that up to her, she goes, you can do this, right? I was like, what do you mean I can do this? They're like, well, in the state of Georgia, this is definitely something you can do. You just got to do a little schooling. You're going to have to work a little hard, but you can make this happen. And so I put my all into it, and I just started it. And then for a while I was teaching, and I started my practice at the same time. So I actually worked from my house for a while, just so I can manage taking care of the kids and having my income. I switched over to being a virtual school teacher, and I finally got my first patient. Well, actually, I thought that once I got certified and knew what I was doing, that everybody was just going to like line up to come see me. I really thought that. I really thought that. No, that didn't happen. No, not at all. And so I finally got my first patient that I believe I just got somewhere like I was walking around at a grocery store and just started talking to this random person and just told her what I did and told her she should be my patient. And
well, there you go.
Yeah, that's how I got my first patient, like at the grocery store with my kid in my arm.
There you go. And then did she tell somebody else, or did you run into other people? Or did you use that same method?
I did. I used all kinds of methods, and I kept talking and talking and talking and trying to tell people, no, you need to come see me. You got to do what I do. This is going to work. This is going to help. Next thing you know, years later, we're full-blown practice. We see about 120 patients a week in about 20 hours, 17 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, and we don't play.
Which is another thing. I forgot to mention how I met her. I didn't meet her then, but I saw her because I told her, I was like, you know what? You're that lady that be in the grocery store with all the people behind her.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, I see her in the grocery store because at Publix, and she has like this large group of people just following her. Like, what are they doing? But we're gonna get into what she's doing because she's hooking it up. Yep. So let's get into the food.
Let's do it.
Let's talk about food. So it seems like we're in this space of can't eat this, don't eat that, don't eat this. It's almost kind of like fear mongering. So it's like we're all told not to eat this, not to eat that. So
or drink this.
What are we supposed to be eating? Like, you know, it's like stay off the dairy, don't eat meat. And it seems like we're all moving, as the years go on, we're all moving towards this, let's live a plant-based lifestyle, which is, I've been trying it, you know, because I guess you have to do what works for you. But let's talk about food. What is the problem with food these days comparison to back in the day, which we know it was homegrown, you know, and all these chemicals and everything's putting in it. So tell us your thoughts on the food.
I see, BK, you took a real long time before you finally let me say something. I like this because this is usually where I see the fear in people's eyes.
I saw
what is she going to say?
I saw where she was about to say something. I was like, nah, let me explain myself before she gets me. You know?
She's like, you want the brutal?
You want the brutal truth?
Yeah.
Like,
well, you know, we Sagittarius is in there now.
I know. I'm very brutal. I am very brutal. People know. People say all kinds of fun stuff about me, but the truth is, I do care.
Right.
That's everything I do comes from 100% care.
Right.
And 100% care comes with 100% honesty.
Right.
Now, some people can take it, some people can't.
Right.
But the ones who can't, I don't worry about them. I just focus on the ones who can. I don't really take things personal, if that makes sense.
Right.
But good question. So you already mentioned plant-based and you mentioned diet, stuff like that.
Yeah,
but
all these diets, no carbs, keto,
Atkins.
Ironically, he died of a heart attack.
vegans, vegetarians.
Vegetarian, right.
Break it down.
Eggetarians.
Yes.
And then there's the, what's the one with the P?
Paleos.
Paleo.
You talked about it.
Whole 30.
You talked about it on a video one day. You were naming all the little diets.
The little
Pescatarian.
pescatarian. There's all kinds of diets
all
that
kinds
the
of stuff.
diets suck.
I mean, me personally.
He didn't hear what I said.
You said diets suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
What do you think I mean by that?
I think mainly the whole dieting thing is marketing. It's money, right?
Probably. I could care less.
Yeah.
For you and me, who cares? Diets suck. I don't want to be put on a diet.
Right, no.
No. I want to eat what I want to eat. And I would hate somebody to meal plan for me. This is something I tell people all the time. Like, if you write out some meal and Tuesday, I decide I don't want to eat that. I don't want to eat fish on Tuesday. I actually want to eat tacos.
Right.
Then don't force me to eat fish on Tuesday when my brain says eat tacos. I wouldn't be able to eat the tacos. You follow what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
So like patients come in all the time and they're just worried about their diets and they're worried about the things they've tried and what worked and what didn't work and their food allergies and this and that. But I truly just believe, let's just get down to the basics of food. You already said something, Brian. You were talking about how like food has changed as time has gone on and how our food was more pure back in the day.
Yeah.
They had better farming methods. The food that we ate, the crop that we ate actually had vitamins and minerals in them. There were less chemicals in the ground sprayed on them. They came from local areas. You follow this, right? Yeah. But let's be honest, most of us can't find this stuff anymore.
Right. When it was truly farm to table.
Yeah, it was truly farm to table. And nowadays you can still do farm to table. However, the farm to table is not necessarily always the best farm to table. It's still going to have some contamination.
Yes.
There's still going to be some pesticide exposures, et cetera. So we're kind of living in an imperfect world.
Yeah.
And so what we're just doing with food is doing the best we can. So if you're going to go buy some spinach, then you're going to do the best you can to buy the healthiest organic spinach you can possibly find, right? And you're going to eat it. But you know, one bowl of spinach today, in order to get the amount of nutrients that we had in the 50s, we would literally need to eat 30-something bowls of spinach
Are
to
you
get
serious?
that. Yes, I am dead serious. I am
1
dead
to
serious.
30-something ratio?
Yes,
Wow.
of a bowl of spinach. So even when you think you're eating healthy, are you really eating healthy? You know?
So a kind of question I just wanted to kick off with that is, you said a lot of your patients come in talking about their diets and what diet can I use for this? And is my diet working correct for me? So is that when you tell them or you explain to them that you have that nutrition test method that you possibly want to put them through, and then that helps you give a guideline for what they need to be eating or drinking or not eating or drinking?
Yeah, Yeah, almost. So what I actually do is I let them eat the way they're eating because that's hard. Fixing people's diets is so hard, right? And so what I start doing to them is filling in their gaps with whole food supplements and actual nutrition. And these supplements are the highest, purest quality supplements you can find. And they come from pure grounds.
Okay.
Like that good spinach we're talking about, you know, and they're food-based supplements, but not vegetarian necessarily, food-based. It can be meat-based, bone-based, it can be organ-based, it can be vegetable-based, fruit-based, grain-based, whatever we need. But we fill in the gaps with actual nutrition supplements so that we can start feeding the body better. Okay. Now, once the body is fed better, then we can slowly start cleaning up the diet. You follow what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah. So I always ask my patients, what is one thing you don't like to eat? And sometimes they'll say stuff like broccoli. Sometimes they'll say avocado. Sometimes they'll say coconut. Sometimes they'll say,
avocado.
I know, but people don't like it. There are people out there that don't like avocado.
I don't understand it.
I love it, but I think I guess too
pink
much of
sea
it, too much of anything is like bad. I guess because it's high in fat, right?
It's
But
good fat.
It's good fat.
Good
It's
fat.
a good fat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of makes me just a quick question. This may be off topic, just slightly. We're talking about avocado. I always put Himalayan sea salt
Yum.
on my avocado. Is there a difference in salt when it comes to nutrition? I mean, like,
Yeah.
I know.
I'm not a nutritionist, but
I mean, I know
always-
there's a difference. I'm just saying, but like people say, oh, Himalayan sea salt is the best salt. Is there such thing as a best salt? That's what I kind of wanted to
I
get
like the
to.
Himalayan salt because I was
do
always
too.
told to stay away from like white stuff.
Right.
Like white salt.
Like white
Flour,
bread, flour, yeah,
Like
white
bleached
rice.
things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where it's literally bleached.
Right, white
Yeah.
eggs.
Yeah.
Right.
White eggs.
You know, the shell where the shells are white. They say the best eggs are the brown eggs that come.
White eggs.
You know what I'm. You know they're brown eggs and white eggs.
Stephen, to be truthful, I'm not really sure if eggs are really that controversial. I feel like there's more important things for us to be stressed out about than the one egg.
I got a homeboy that would not
White
eat.
egg and the
he
black
would not
egg.
eat. No, he would not eat white eggs because his chickens. He has his own chickens. You know, he lives off the grid, and his chickens produce brown eggs. And he said ever since he started that, he would never go back to eating a white egg. And he breaks down the process. Oh, they're bleached too. And
I
blah,
have
blah,
heard
blah.
that.
I don't know.
I have heard that the brown egg was like, I guess, healthier. I'm not
Right,
sure.
right, because it's more natural for on the table.
Honestly, I haven't done enough research on eggs to know. I just know the right kind of egg to eat is the one
more
that
you know.
the best egg is really the one where the chickens were eating the grass. That's as far as I know. But I could be wrong. I bet you we'll get a bunch of responses here on the eggs.
Yeah.
I'm thinking more like white flour, but let's go back to salt. Salt's important. I guess you should put pink salt on your white egg and that might be better for you. But okay, so here's my trick. Here's my trick when it comes to salt. Well, table salt's not good for you. To me, it actually tastes like foil paper. Have you ever put foil paper in your mouth and chewed it? Don't do it if you haven't.
Not shoot it. We used to do it to put in our mouth to give us fake caps and make it look like.
Oh
you
yeah,
got
we used to
silver
do
teeth.
that too. Yeah. That's what happens when you grow up on the west side of Montgomery. But
Grills.
the grills. But no. Okay, so to me, there's aluminum and a bunch of other junk in that table salt. Now there's pink salt and there's sea salt. And sea salt, not all sea salts created equal, but there's different types of good quality sea salt. When I'm talking to my patients, I always try to get them this understanding. When it's cold outside, when the weather's cooler, there's not as much sun out, that's when you're reaching for pink salt.
Okay.
Think mountains.
Okay. Right.
Okay?
Okay.
There's different types of minerals in pink salt there is in sea salt. When it starts to get hot and humid like it does here in middle Georgia, that's when you start reaching for the
Sea salt.
sea salt. Because sea salt comes from the beach area. It has the right minerals you need for your body so it can handle the heat and humidity.
So basically, since the body's moving through different seasons, we should change up the type of food that we eat per season.
I agree.
That makes sense.
That's exactly how food is in the farming world. There's different foods are part of different seasons, right? We have our, like in the fall, think about all the squashes are out, the pumpkins out, the apples are out, things like that. In the springtime, we start getting all of our greens back, and the other squashes back, like zucchinis.
Right. I love zucchini.
You know, the different greens, things like that. So, you know, carrots, berries, all of that. So we're a part of nature. And so we should feed our bodies the way nature is intended and in season with the right kind of salts, etc. But most people don't really know this, and I don't really expect them to know.
No, I didn't really know that you should flow with the seasons. Your food and nutrition should flow with the seasons as well. I did not know that. I'd never even thought about it, but it makes total sense.
Well, most of my patients I'm just working with people I'm teaching them to stop eating like McDonald's and Chick-fil-A all the time. I'm trying to teach them that as a far-fetched.
Oh man, don't get me started with McDonald's.
It's funny you mentioned that. Now I will touch bases back on the salt. I've been trying to get off salt, so I haven't done salt in like a year.
Yeah, we don't do salt.
You need salt.
Why?
I mean, look, I put hot sauce on everything.
I start putting, now culturally speaking, is salt the best thing for African Americans with hypertension, high blood pressure? So I don't use salt mainly for those type of reasons. I don't have that. So, but I just wanted to kind of start a lifestyle where I don't have to like season everything with food or with salt or with this. Because once again, I think one of the things that you do in the grocery store is pay attention to ingredients, right?
Right.
And so that's just one of the things I left out. And I think my palate got used to just not having salt. So now when I eat somebody else's food that has salt in it, it's like extra salty. So, but now I'm not saying I'm literally no salt. I have used the Himalayan salt. You know, my wife started buying that. So I will, do a couple of, it depends on what it is, You
don't have to heavily salt your food. However, think about when we're sweating, those of us that work out.
Yeah.
Not me. I'm just being honest. I don't want somebody to be like, she really for this stuff?
Yeah, the people that actually work out. Talking to you.
Those people, because some of us just like to be smaller framed without needing to work out. No, I don't know. I'm just teasing.
She gets it. She gets it.
No. I don't.
See, he doesn't like me.
He's a different story.
He doesn't like me because
he's been the same size since like 12th grade.
I can eat whatever he eats. It don't matter. But if he smells it, he'll gain a pound.
I absorb food.
I will lose a pound eating the same meal. So he just can't.
We're different. So that's our metabolism.
Yeah, mine's still.
Yeah, well, you're lucky because once we hit a certain age, we lose this thing called the youth gene. There's a special hormone that we don't produce anymore after we turn about 30.
Oh well, I must be on reverse.
Yes, you were given good genes.
Yeah, I'm Benjamin Button and over
Benjamin Button. That movie was torture. Let's not bring that up. Could not watch that movie. But but these foods have a purpose, Brian. I mean, the salt is very important for the body. If you start understanding the biochemistry and the chemistry behind how your cells function, how your tissue functions, without salt, these muscles and these tissues and these cells can't function properly. You don't have to over salt your food, and most people are doing the wrong salt. However, it's something in the medical world. It's a medical misconception that people directly think that hypertension and other forms of blood pressure issues, heart disease, all of this is a part of a contributing factor is the salt.
Right.
Maybe. But it could be maybe the salt intake that they're eating from the processed foods or the frozen foods or the fast foods or these sort of things, right? It's not necessarily something that is because they're eating pink salt or good quality sea salt.
Yeah.
Because sometimes switching your salts to a better quality salt sometimes can handle the issue if salt really is the issue.
Yeah. I guess I understand what you're saying because we're talking about salt, but then how much of those ingredients that we eat have high contents of sodium.
Right, already.
Already. Like hot sauce. It has everything on the back of it says 0, but then the sodium on it is like
300 something for like 5 drops.
And that's what I was saying. I was like, well, I don't put salt on anything, but I put hot sauce. It's kind of like those commercials. I put that on everything.
Yeah.
But even my white eggs.
I'm gonna have to do By the time we do another podcast together, I'm going to be certified in white eggs
Right.
to make sure I can tackle these questions next time. No, but seriously, like, let's be real. So about what percentage does your family eat out a week? Or do you eat out a week?
I don't want to say.
You don't want to say it's embarrassing?
More than we should.
More than you guys should? But it's normal, though.
Post-pandemic, we've been eating out more.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We've been doing a lot of Instacart. You know, in the very beginning, we cooked a lot at home, but you got to understand. Actually, let's talk about that now.
Plus,
Let's talk about it now.
Let's talk about it
Let's
now.
do it now.
food is going up
Let's
right
talk-
now.
I had another-
too.
It's expensive.
I had another question about that. So,
I had nothing to do with the expensiveness of the food. Please.
no, we're going to talk about eating out and balance. So,
Okay.
with nutrition and you say you don't believe in diets, but just the whole idea of just having that balance. So, how do you have that balance with marriage, family, and trying to maintain your supplements and just maintain a healthy lifestyle? How do you keep that balance going?
I'm so happy you asked that because this is where I have to be blunt with people. Okay. This is where people end up saying, I don't really like her too much anymore. I'm really good about putting people in their place.
Well, people need the hard truth.
Yeah. I mean, you have one life. You have your children because you chose to have your children. You're married because you chose to be married. You're the one who chose your career. You're the one who chooses what your kids is after curricular activities. Or this is totally a choice. None of this is anything that's done by force. And most of us are in maybe these typical families where we have two people working and you're making decent income. And if you're eating out often, then you have enough of an income because eating out gets very expensive.
Yeah.
Got that right.
People ask me, but did you know I do cook a lot? I cooked today. So, I told you guys I had a crazy weekend. I've been at a funeral, etc. But I made sure I cooked yesterday for my family. I made sure I cooked today for my family. The cooking isn't always a big lavish meal, but we do. I cook. And I take care of my own health because as a woman, and I can't believe I'm saying it this way, but as a woman, sometimes it's on you. I mean, it's on you because you're the mom, you're the wife. I mean, sometimes it's like that in this world. And when you're healthier and you're happier, you can just do more.
Yeah.
That's really all it is.
Yeah.
You can, when you feel good and you're personally taking care of your health and trying to create that balance for yourself, you have the energy to cook. You have the energy to work. You have the energy to do everything you need to do or want to do.
Right.
Nothing will hold you back. And I think we're just in this society where we feel like we're an effect of everything. Do you guys know what I mean when I say that?
Oh, yeah.
We're not a cause over anything anymore. Everything happens to us.
Right.
Even if our kids are super talented and they're big gymnastics competitors or whatever they are, when you're taking them back and forth from place to place and eating your fast food and tired and having a bad week or whatever it is and dealing with your migraines or whatever is going on, at the end of the day, none of that makes sense to me. It was like, wait a minute, are you proud of your kid or you're not proud of your kid? Aren't you the one that started your child in the gymnastics?
Right.
I mean, these are like cheerful, happy moments, but you can't even enjoy them and you can't enjoy your life and you can't enjoy the journey for God's sake because you're so caught up in, I don't feel good, I don't feel good, I don't feel good.
I'm tired.
And you turn everything into a project.
Yeah.
Like your children are your project, your husband's your project. Your career is your project. None of this. This is something you created yourself, and there's gonna be tough times. And there's days where I know I look at my husband. I'm like, really? You couldn't wash the dishes today for real? These things are normal. And there's days where my kids, sometimes quote unquote get on my nerves.
Right.
I mean, these things are normal, but you should be able to snap out of it. Or wake up or get a good night's rest and the next day have the energy again to do what you really need to do and put things back in perspective. And that's what's so unique about what I do with muscle testing, with everything I do. But the truth is, I find the people who can be helped. If you can be helped and you're willing to take the help, then that's it. That's really all it takes. Because nobody's looking for you to have a perfect diet.
Right.
You're still allowed to eat out.
Right.
I ate Chick-fil-A for the first 3 years when I was on a health program, because I liked it.
Right.
Now I don't eat it anymore. But, there's
Nothing? None?
no, I just don't
Oh,
actually.
you starting Don't talk about Chick-fil-A
Well,
with him now.
see,
Don't.
as we were talking about, that's not to cut you off. That was my weakness, is that discipline and balance of just life in general. You know, it gets in the way. Just like when I get on these diets and I say I'm going to do this. I'm not eating meatless Mondays, and but I've got to carry the kids all over the place. And of course, we stop and get nuggets or something. And I'm doing good until we get to the house, and I'm like, man, you just wasted those 5 nuggets. And I keep walking. I'm looking at them. I'm like, well, it's supposed to be meatless Mondays, but who wants to waste food?
Let Daddy finish.
Let me go ahead and finish these nuggets for you. You know, so, but it's quick. Or like when we're moving, you know, it's like I want to go home and prepare this meal, this salmon and this broccoli and this, you know, this cabbage or whatever. But it's a busy day. It's easier to just pull up in the drive-through and, you know, get this, get that.
That's what I had 2 nights ago, salmon.
That's for me, that's a struggle.
Yum.
Oh, yeah, I love salmon.
I mean, but you know, you just mentioned salmon, broccoli, stuff like that. Honestly, that takes a long time to cook.
Oh, you got to get you a Ninja. I got a Ninja grill.
Yeah, we got a Ninja.
Aha. Did you guys hear that? He just caught himself. He was talking.
I got me a Ninja.
I tricked him.
You got me. No excuses.
See, that's why I'm an expert. I'm an expert at finding people's excuses and squashing them down.
She got me.
She got you. That's why I can't get right.
Excuses. No, you just said it. Basically, that's what it is. You know, we're our worst enemy. We're getting our own way. You know.
But wait, there is no need to do anything dramatic. It just drives me crazy when people are like, I did this like diet and I ate this way. And they have all kinds of diets out there I haven't even heard of. Sometimes I have to research them. And they're like, and I lost 80 pounds on this diet and we were doing so good for like 3 years and then we stopped and now we're ill. And you're like, what? What are you talking about? Like, no need to do a diet. How about we just like focus on one thing at a time? If you're drinking 3 sodas a day, how about we just focus on having like 2 less sips a day? Let's keep this super simple. Super simple.
Right.
And if that takes you 3 months to do, great. If it takes you a year to do, whatever. I don't really care. But a little bit less is better than what it was before.
Right.
And remember I was telling you guys how I go back in and supplement with good nutrition? What do you think the real key is to getting better or making these changes?
To keep going, progressing in between to keep going down the line.
Yeah, just slowly let it do the way your body's letting it happen. And then at the same time, add in some decent, good quality nutrition so that your body's not struggling or craving it along the way.
Yeah.
And then the truth is, Brian, if we're trying to eat healthy, we really shouldn't be taking our kids through fast food anyway. And that's so hypocritical.
What about it's grilled nuggets?
Okay, I'm glad your kids are eating the grilled
It's
nuggets.
so funny. It's like, see, all my friends are married pretty much. And every time I'm on the phone with them, yeah, hold on. Hey, let me get such and such, such. And I can tell they're at the drive-through. I'm like, where you at? Oh, man, you know, just McDonald's real quick.
No, we don't eat McDonald's.
Yeah, I know you don't.
Not me.
Nah, I know you don't eat McDonald's, but
My kids have
everybody
never
else does.
tasted McDonald's.
And I say to my friends, like, look, man, I understand you going through the drive-through with fast food or whatever. Don't go to McDonald's, though. At least go somewhere else.
I
You know,
know.
like they rag me about Arby's. Well, which one would you prefer, McDonald's
Arby's
or Arby's?
gives you the shits, though. That's why
This
I stopped.
is true.
McDonald's does?
But I haven't eaten McDonald's in
I stopped eating that.
12 years.
Yeah.
Something
People
like that.
do.
Probably.
People do. And there's people out there that are really classy with nice cars and they look really good. And I love throwing that one in their face. The women, you know, their makeup is done. They look like $1 million. I'm like, well, didn't you think about how you are and how you hold yourself? You didn't think about that when you're driving through Burger King this week, ordering? Like, I was like, classy women don't eat Burger King.
Yeah.
And they're like, what, do you think Oprah eats Burger King? I'm like,
Hell no.
I hope not. You know, they're like, she probably sends her assistant. I'm like, well, till the day you have an assistant, stop eating Burger King. You know?
I remember because my favorite chicken sandwich. Somebody got on to me, a friend of mine. Speaking about burgers, I know burgers, but chicken sandwiches are a little bit different. But I like to go to Longhorn because I feel they have the best chicken sandwich. They have that buttermilk fried chicken sandwich with all the toppings and everything. And they're like, man, you gonna go pay almost $10 for a chicken sandwich instead of just going right down the street, get your chicken sandwich from whoever's got a chicken sandwich. I said, well, to tell you the truth, yeah, I'd rather eat this because it tastes better. And I think it's actually a little bit healthier.
I don't know. I used to love bread, Oreos, and milk for breakfast. That was my favorite.
Bread, Oreos, and milk.
Yes. And then like if I was hungry, I would just go into the kitchen and open up a loaf of bread and like eat like 2 slices of the, the cheap bread.
Was it the white bread?
The white bread with the white egg.
I love egg sandwiches.
No, I didn't eat egg. That would have been too healthy. No, we're just talking about just bread. I would eat bread and like I liked Oreos and milk for breakfast. That was like my favorite breakfast.
Wow.
Yeah. This is how I was.
Oreo. I just never heard anybody eat bread, Oreos, and milk for breakfast. That almost sounds like, women are pregnant. Y'all say, I have a craving for pickles and ice cream.
Well, I did have craving for pickles and lamb when I was pregnant with my son.
I love lamb.
Yeah, but lamb. And then I craved a lot of shrimp and crab and fish. So my poor husband every weekend was driving me to Florida.
Oh, so you could get the good stuff.
Yeah, I would just drive to Florida. We'd get a hotel room. We'd eat, and I'd come back and go to sleep. Wake up again, and like take me to another restaurant.
That is not good.
But that was different. But see, those cravings are different than But this was like my food. This is what I ate. I just liked bread. And I really liked bread a lot. And I liked, I would get a bowl and I would put Oreos and I'd put milk and then like let it get soggy and get a spoon and eat it like cereal.
So you were eating it like Oreo cereal.
Yeah, I didn't put the Oreos inside the bread. You thought I was eating an Oreo sandwich.
Yeah, I'm thinking, no, I don't know. I'm kind of thinking
like the
that,
thing
I guess.
at the fair where they fry it.
I'm just thinking you got a plate.
Yuck.
Matter of fact, I don't pull Oreos out and set them out. If I am gonna eat an Oreo, it's in the pack still. So I'm sitting there thinking you got the big blue pack sitting here with one of the trays sticking out. You got a slice of bread right here, and you got your milk. You're dunking the Oreo, eating into the milk, and then you take a bite of your bread.
I mean, it was almost like that, except I ate it with a spoon.
Okay.
But the bread
you don't do
there.
that anymore, though, do you?
No, definitely not. But I do have to avoid the Oreo section at the grocery store because the chemicals that they put in these foods, they store inside your brain. It's like they get stored in your memory. I don't know if you know this or not. There's a whole bunch of research out there that you could get into if you wanted to. I just don't do research like that. It's just, I'm a common sense kind of girl. But the fact that I can walk by Oreos and haven't eaten Oreos in years and years and years, okay? I can still smell it from the package.
Wow. Just walking down the aisle.
Yeah, and I still feel like eating one. Like not crave it, not like a lot. I will not eat it, but the thought still comes to your mind of it tasted so good. And you put
It's
it
only
in the milk.
one thing that gets me like that. The oatmeal cream pies.
Yeah.
Little
Yes,
Debbie.
those have a lot of those chemicals
That
too.
is because I've eaten them since I was born, and I swear to you, I still eat them to this day. That is the only, because everybody knows me, I don't eat sweets. Steve, don't give Steven nothing, he ain't gonna eat it. But I give me an oatmeal cream pie
Well.
or a honey bun. That's my other weakness.
Yeah,
both from
Little
Little Debbie.
Debbie's.
Yes, the little 99-cent, little small. You pop it in the microwave for about 10 seconds. Let it get nice and warm. Then you take a fork, put it down on the plate, and you eat that thing right there. Yeah,
And you were trying to understand my Oreos.
yeah, and then
You turned the oatmeal cream pie into like a gourmet meal over there.
and you got to make sure you got your good old Seagram's ginger ale to wash
I
down
can't believe
with.
you're even showing me that.
I have to drink ginger ale. That's the only thing I drink. Ginger ale, water, and
Yeah, you're over here going against the grain.
You know what?
We're supposed to be getting this health and wellness.
I'm going to make sure
I'm talking about
I'm
that.
going to make sure you get an on the house consultation.
no, but that's not a regular thing. That's only when I get that.
It's gonna be
that
freezed.
craving. When you get like, you know what? I know I just ate, but I kind of
Have the ginger ale.
I drink ginger ale all the time. Is that bad? I thought ginger ale was.
definitely.
Oh.
It doesn't have corn syrup in it.
Well, if you're gonna do ginger, like I told you a while
I
back,
know.
the ginger tea. I do ginger tea.
You can do ginger kombucha.
Right, I understand the
still
natural
drinking-
ways of
it's
doing
still-
the ginger. Yes,
it's still a soda.
I'm just saying, but I drink ginger ale. That's the only carbonated beverage that I have. I don't think it's as bad as a Coca-Cola.
It's still a soda.
These are the comments of addicts, guys. You guys hear this out there? I am so used to these things. Nothing phases me. At this point in my career, I'm like, I got it. You're addicted to ginger ale.
So I'm a ginger ale addict. Oh,
Obviously.
man, dang.
Did you hear what you said?
No,
What if we just replace ginger ale with the word cocaine or something?
See, now you made me feel bad.
Speaking of cocaine, speaking of cocaine,
Speaking of cocaine.
No,
Yeah,
for
talk
real.
about that.
No, for real. But my addiction is cheese.
Jeez.
I love cheese. I eat too much cheese. And I think that's one of my drawbacks. But then I was doing some research. We talked about it off mic for a little bit. But and I was reading that one of the things that possibly is why cheese is so addictive because it has this chemical in there called casein, right? Casein. And what the casein does is it reacts with, it gets other chemicals reacting in your body, which is other different kind of morphins. And then those morphins travel to your brain and it triggers the dopamine. And then that dopamine is kind of what makes it so addictive. And then now you're addicted to food and you're addicted to cheese. But I was just curious. So, and that goes back to one of the things where a lot of people say, I don't know who those people are, but they say, we got to get off of dairy. We got to stop eating dairy. Dairy is what's killing us. And then, food is killing us. And so, and we also talked about one of the things that they saying that dairy is a trigger for like lupus and sickle cell and all these other different diseases. So let's talk about diseases and food. And is it really killing us?
I love that you're bringing up the word diseases. This is where all the medical doctors are going to turn off this podcast and be, I'm done with this woman. She doesn't know what she's talking about. I feel so bad. They went through years and years of schooling to learn all this like diagnosis and disease and treatments, but they never thought about the other side of it, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. There are so many reasons behind what the marketing is behind, don't eat this instead, stay off the dairy, stay off the meat. This is all a business. We're in America, right? Okay. And everything we do here is profit-based.
Oh, yeah.
So there's profit in all of this. And I do believe that the more sick we are, the more profit that's going to be made off of us. I mean, there's no profit in a healthy person, There's so much out there about big pharma running everything. Big pharma pays for all the medical schools. That's why the doctors get the education on these like disease and treatments, et cetera, and their medical treatments. If you ask most doctors or anybody in the field, they'll tell you that maybe they just took one or two little basic nutrition classes. So, they're not even being taught how what you put into the body, how it affects what your body's doing. But there's this big misconception because when we're watching TV or when we're just listening to people talk about what's wrong with them, we assume that the disease is given to us somehow. Maybe it was in the family. Maybe we caught it somewhere. Somehow it was given to us. And now our job is to find some treatment plan that might have something to do with
Food.
Maybe food. But, taking medications and changing up a lifestyle or et cetera, right? Like if you go to the doctor and your doctor's like, well, you have hypertension. The doctor's going to say, lose some weight.
Right.
Yeah, true.
Isn't that what they say?
First thing.
Yeah. But ask them how. And they're like, I don't know. Exercise.
Yeah.
I wish it worked that way, right? Okay. But it doesn't. But even as something as basic as lupus. So lupus, for example, is an autoimmune disease, right? And there's so many different types of autoimmunes. In my mind, the most simple way of explaining an autoimmune is it's labeled by which section of the body it's affecting. If it's like both sides of the joints in the body, then we will call it rheumatoid arthritis. Okay. I mean, anything at all, it has a different name, but autoimmune's autoimmune. And it just basically means your healthy cells are starting to attack your body at this point. But if your body is sick, if you are sick, there's no need to be eating anything that could make you more sick. That would cause inflammation. Right? So if you're having a runny nose and it's starting to become infected, maybe you have a sinus infection, maybe you have an ear infection or a cold, you shouldn't be drinking tons and tons of milk because milk will cause what?
Mucus.
You got it.
Yes,
Exactly.
I know this. Oh,
yes. And those of us, like all of us that were raised in a different generation, we know this because your parents were making sure you weren't eating cheese or you weren't doing these things when you were sick, when you were little, right? You were given some like herbal food, or you were given like soups or bone broths or, cod liver oil or, whatever it is your family was giving you then. So
Cod liver oil, boy.
that cod liver oil, we still use that in my office.
Andre 3000 shit.
At least it comes in pills now. I can give it to you in a pill. You don't have to drink it. Just swallow the pill.
What about the castor oil? Did you ever have to have that?
Yes, don't ask me. I had constipation problems my whole life.
See,
Castor oil and prunes. I was like an old person.
My grandmother gave me that. It was called Father John's.
Yes, Father
That
John.
was real thick.
Yes.
Ooh,
But
boy, you taking it back.
Yeah, Father John.
yeah, but see, these kids these days don't even know about any of this. The parents don't even know if their kids ever poop anymore. Did you know that? You know how many times? Do you know how many times like I have to ask a parent like, does your child poop every day? I don't know. Do you poop every day? I mean, your kid's like 5 years old. You don't know if your kid poops every day.
That's
you
bad.
know? Yeah.
I'm thinking you're probably talking about like teenagers and stuff like that. But they don't know
No.
about their regular,
Yes. If they're not changing diapers, they don't know. I'm so judgmental. I'm a very judgmental person. So I'm literally looking at the mom like, what do you mean you don't know what your kid's doing?
And I hate to go all the way back to the beginning when we first started and you were talking about when you were a special ed teacher. Is that one of the things that kind of pissed you off too, kind of made you want to go away because the parents were acting so they weren't doing what they should have been?
Nobody was doing what they were supposed to be doing. Not the parents, not the teachers, not the administrators. Like here and there, there's somebody who cares, but generally speaking, no, they don't pay attention. They don't know. They're just trying to get through their busy life and trying to keep things simple. The teacher needs the kid to shut up and sit there so that other kids can be taught. The principal doesn't like the chaos. The parents can't deal with what they already have to do. They don't want one more thing added to the plate. And they hate the phone calls that they're getting all the time, complaints about their kids. It's like a never ending cycle of a mess. Same thing in the nutrition world. I mean, that's really what the problem is, that there's people don't realize what's supposed to be done, what's not supposed to be done, who has the responsibility. It's always the adult.
Right.
The children are not responsible for any of this. So when we're talking about even as basic stuff like dairy, it is really our responsibility to understand what our disease is and what's going on. And in thinking back to just simplifying it, if you're sick, you shouldn't be having dairy because dairy creates inflammation. It creates mucus, right? And if you have something like lupus and if you're in a flare-up of some sort, then of course dairy is going to be your enemy. Okay. But we also talked in more details with, we were talking off air a little bit too, but not really understanding that there's a root cause of these problems. Sometimes we blame it on genetics, we blame it on race, we blame it on all of these other factors, but running away from the disease by trying to mask it with a medication or trying to just avoid eating foods that trigger is not enough. But if we can figure out how to actually get to the root cause, then that's really what we should focus on. And that's what I do. I have people come in and I literally find which organs in the body are not doing well. We restore your health. We get you to start eating better. And I have patients that have all kinds of different autoimmunes to I can't have babies to cancer, so many different patients out there that are living good lives without having flare-ups or anything. It's because our body only runs on nutrition. It doesn't run on anything else. Most of the stuff you named is not even food, except the legumes, right? And legumes can be hard to digest because they have to be prepared a certain way. But sometimes certain diseases and foods, they just don't go hand in hand. But if you start working on the disease source itself and fixing the disease, you don't have to be scared about avoiding certain foods for the rest of your life. Just because your child has a peanut allergy or my child had a walnut allergy doesn't mean that your child has to have this nut allergy forever.
Right.
Yeah. And then just like Brian was talking about the dairy and the cheese, right? I mean, I find that a lot of my patients that eat a lot of cheese or crave a lot of cheese or just love a lot of cheese might have like inflammation issues or they have an infection in their body somewhere or they have something like called candida. Do you guys know what that is?
No.
That's like fungal overgrowth in the body. And you have that because Brian, don't start answering any of these questions on the mic, please.
Hold on.
But, maybe your bowels are a little extra smelly sometimes and loose. Maybe you just sometimes have kicking breath and you don't know why and it feels dry. Maybe your gas smells a little strange sometimes. It smells more foodish than it should. You notice some days you just look bigger and some days you don't look bigger.
Right.
Something like today my pants fit just fine. Tomorrow these pants aren't quite fitting right anymore.
Like, man, I'm looking slim today.
It's like good day today to wear what I want to wear because tomorrow might not be that way.
I think that another factor that too is when you wake up feeling like that because when you sleep at night, the body elongates itself because the vertebra is able to just flatten out better. So you wake up looking slimmer, actually. And then once gravity takes over, you start going back into your regular shape. That's why you feel like crap later on. So
I thought it was just because everything got digested.
I didn't even know this.
I was just breaking down for you scientifically.
I thought it was because everything got digested in your body, all your cells breaking down and repairing. And
It's because your body actually, you're not using gravity anymore because you're laying down flat. So the body actually expands and lengthens itself out.
Okay,
It's
so
slimmer.
so I'm only 4'10".
So, but when you're sleeping, you're probably about 5'1".
Okay, I hope so. Okay, and then when I stand up, do I immediately turn 4'10" again?
Yeah, it takes about 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay, so I'm gonna measure myself as soon as I get up tomorrow because I'm really interested
I'm
in this.
serious. I mean, that's really what
Forget
it is.
nutrition. I've always wanted to grow.
You basically grow when you sleep, and then when you wake up, your spine compacts again.
Okay, I'm gonna do this tomorrow. I'm gonna see how this works for me because I want to be over 5 foot. I just for a day.
Just for a day.
Just for a day. Just for a minute.
So going back to autoimmune.
Yeah, let's do it.
So let's talk about MS. So we had a guest, previously, and that's one of the things that she was diagnosed with. But after the podcast, we started thinking about all the people that we knew.
Right.
And it was just real common in women. And so when we were talking about diseases, why is that? And I read an article recently of this lady, and the lady that was on the podcast, she's one of the people that say, well, when I change my diet or when I change how I ate naturally, I don't have to take any medications for it.
And those flare-ups and stuff went down.
Yeah. And
Right.
so I read an article recently. This lady, she's like 70, and she says she hadn't taken medicine in like 50 years. And so I just want to say, when we talk about those food and those flare-ups, but is there still some type of issue with like when they say I'm not eating meat and dairy and I haven't had a flare-up in 50 years and I haven't even taken any medicine for MS? And also, double question, why is it so common in women? Like, what's the deal with that?
It's like the amount of stress that we take on ourselves and the things that we do to ourselves. I think it wears our body down. And then we're just not equipped anymore to have kids the way that our parents did or grandparents did or great-grandparents did anymore. I feel like every time we have a child, our body's taking a toll. It's taken, the babies are created from us women. It's our bones, our fat, our tissue, our hormones, our food. It's our energy that builds this baby. And each time we build a baby, we're more and more is stolen out of our bodies, but we can't replenish it enough. I think we just break apart. And now, so I like to say we're like the fourth generation of something called Pottinger's cats. You guys can look that up. It's Dr. Francis Pottinger. Pottinger's cats is just, at this point, we're the fourth generation that's just eating junk. Okay. Well, we are not eating real food anymore. We're eating white flour. We're eating a bunch of things that we shouldn't be eating.
Right.
And we're trying to build our bodies and build babies on this junk. And so we're starting to have more and more kids that are having disease at a young age, like MS. And MS has a direct hormonal link. But to me, MS kind of mimics some of the diabetic issues people have. Yeah.
Okay.
That's my clinical experience, right?
Right.
I'm not going to find research on that. You may or may not. But it, to me, almost looks like somewhat of a diabetic patient. And if I start treating this patient as if this patient has diabetes and start teaching them how to have that kind of a diet, getting the grains out of their diet, reducing the dairy out of their diet, also replenishing their nutrition the right way and putting in the supplementation they need to balance out their hormones better, next thing you know, their MS symptoms get better. Now, once a patient is like symptom free for, let's say, 2 years to 5 years, they may or may not really ever have a flare up again. I do have a few patients that have started seeing from the beginning when I started my practice about 9 years ago. And they've had some, serious issues. One of my first patients was schizophrenic, and I was getting. You're going right, because I'm coming up into that. Keep going. Yeah, he was schizophrenic, and he was a young guy, and he started having these episodes. The mom was really worried. At that time, I didn't know everything I was doing, but I knew I was trained enough to know how to help him.
Right.
And he hasn't had any episodes since.
And that's from nutrition.
That's from nutrition.
Alone. And that was the question I really was waiting for you to kind of get into. I was literally going to ask you, does nutrition help with the mental ailments? anxiety,
Yes.
depression,
Yes.
and all of the other mental illnesses that come along. That was one of the main questions I really
Some of
wanted
those
to get
are
into.
the easiest things for me. I love when people are like, I just have depression or I have anxiety and I have a lot of fatigue and I just get cranky. I was like, good, this is easy. We could fix this.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like my practice started off that way, but now it's also becoming more, like people, the trust that I've built with the community. And I love our community. I love my patients. I couldn't be more blessed in anything that I do. What I do for a living, my heart, like I wake up every morning excited to go to work. On my days that I'm the most tired, I've seen 50 patients a day. Yeah, I'm physically tired, but I'm mentally pumped when I come home 7 o'clock in the night. I just need to eat a good dinner, put pajamas on.
Living in your purpose.
Yeah, I'm totally on purpose. But just stories that I hear. Sometimes I can't believe that I'm doing some of the work that I do. I've seen patients that have had like major asthma attacks while they're in the office. And I'm like, what are you doing here? You need to get to the emergency room. And they're like, no, you fix me. And then I'm going to the emergency room. I have my phone out ready, call 911, because I'm like, I don't know what this is. And I'm like, how long has this been going on? They're like 4 hours. I'm like, oh my God, you're not dead yet. I was like, what's going on? And I just start focusing and doing what I'm good at and get the muscle testing and put the supplements on them. And while they're just holding the supplements, it's almost like the asthma, the issue is gone.
Do you do that for as well? The mental illness? Do you do the muscle testing and stuff
Yes,
like
I
that?
do.
That whole test, and they can find out. See, I need to go see her.
Yes, you are. You get a free consultation.
I've been dealing with that forever.
Yeah.
I've had anxiety since 2005 was when I had my first panic attack.
Well, I understand. I had panic attacks since I was a kid.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so my first panic attack, I remember, is just 5 years old.
Wow.
My first suicidal thought, I remember at 4 years old.
Wow, really?
Yeah, so I don't have the best history. I feel like I've been through a lot mentally in my own life. I've had another episode, I remember I was 19 years old, and I had tried to take my life then as well. And I just didn't know why. I just don't know why my brain would make me want to go that way. I could not wake up. I just didn't know if I could live like this all the time.
Right.
And as I got into college, especially as I got a little bit older, started getting in my 20s, I realized that if I just started eating better and moving around more, I already started feeling better. I grew up vegetarian, and the vegetarian diet for me has not been a good one.
Okay.
So I actually started adding in meats and seafood, and that's helped me tremendously because your diet is individualized for your own body.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what's so unique about diets. And that's what I do. I make sure you're eating what you're supposed to be eating. And there's no 100%. None of us do 100%, but most of us can do 80-20, 90-10, right? And depending on how ill you are, and do you really want to be ill again, you decide if this is going to be worth it, If I just told you all this about a fungus issue, a candida, and once you know that, every time you put a piece of cheese in your mouth, you know what you're doing. At that point, you know what you're doing.
Yeah,
it's your decision, right?
Kind of like, man, she done messed me up for the day.
Yeah.
I mean,
She got you reevaluating some things.
it's two things I always have to have on a sandwich.
The cheese
And
the
tomatoes.
mayonnaise. Oh, tomatoes. Tomatoes
Yeah.
are fine.
Well, according to Tom Brady, you're not supposed to.
Tom Brady
his
might have acid
TB12
reflux.
That's what I'm thinking. Him and his avocado ice cream. I still haven't tried
See,
that.
I can't eat spaghetti without cheese. I gotta.
Yes.
It's because you don't need the spaghetti. You just
But-
need the cheese.
All right. I don't believe in drinking milk. I tell people that all the time. I haven't had a bowl of cereal since I was 20. I think that's probably the last time I drank a glass of milk. Probably
I haven't
when I was
had
like
milk.
20.
Milk. I drink almond milk.
Yeah, almond milk. You do. I love ranch dressing though.
I do too. I love ranch. And blue
And like
cheese.
he started talking about
Ranch in the
spaghetti.
spaghetti.
Yes.
Yum. Ranch
Come
in
on,
the
man.
spaghetti.
Come on. You got
Ranch
to have it.
in
The
the
cheese.
spaghetti.
And then you got to put it in the microwave. Let the cheese melt all around it. Then you put that
Okay,
ranch on
so
it.
let me
right
tell
on the top
you.
of it. And then make it
Okay, I'm just going to stop. Okay, let me tell you what people think us nutritionists are trying to make you eat when you say something like spaghetti. You're going to put a big bowl of some vegan noodles of some sort. I don't know.
zoodles.
Sure, zoodles. That sounds even good. I'm just giving you like, I don't know, kale-based noodles. I don't know. And then you're going to pour like tomato sauce on it. and then you're going to use like nutritional yeast and sprinkle that to give you cheese flavor,
No.
something like that.
I'm not
No,
doing
this is
that.
really what people think. No, this is like when they're like, oh, you're a nutritionist. They're like, oh, she's going to make me eat like kale. And you're like, weird. I mean, this is what they're thinking, right? But no.
Go outside, eat some
I mean,
grass.
there are brown rice noodles out there. Grass is full of pesticides. I wouldn't recommend that.
yeah.
No, please don't eat that. Plus, we're not cows. Cows have like 2 digestive systems.
Oh, but we
you
got to
know.
drink that milk from cows, though.
Yeah, but those cows aren't eating grass.
I don't know what them cows eating.
That's why that milk is making you sick. Okay?
That's right.
Yeah. But so and so is the steak. But my point is, you can have brown rice noodles or cassava noodles, which these taste great. Like people sometimes prefer the brown rice noodles over like the white noodles because they actually taste really good. Then you could put like red sauce on it, like a good one. So you don't have to buy cheap sauce.
Right.
You should buy the nice one.
Get some Bertolli's.
I mean, I'm talking about like nicer than that. We're talking about the $8 jar.
Oh,
Yeah. And then go get some like good cheese, like the real Parmesan, like
Right.
the good cheese, and sprinkle the real cheese
Parmesan
on there.
Reggiano.
Yeah, not like the Kraft bag. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And then the next thing you know, you got a better quality spaghetti right there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hate on that.
Yeah.
So what? You like spaghetti sometimes. Why not eat it that way?
Now I have eaten it a different way, which is using spaghetti squash,
Yum.
and then get that fork, string it out.
Yes.
I've had that too.
And zoodles.
And zoodles, they're both fantastic.
My family likes zoodles too.
Get the zucchini.
Yeah, that's what
thing
we're talking
and then
about.
shred it.
I call it a little pencil sharpener for a zucchini.
I mean, the first time I saw it in the store, I was like, what is? I was with my friend. I was like, what is that, babe? She was like, oh, that's to make the zoodles. I was like, oh, there's an actual
Little-
device.
It's a little device. It's
was
so
like,
easy.
Pencil, you just
It's
You
become a
just sharpen
thing.
it. But you can eat these things, and when you're used to eating bad quality food first or processed foods, no, it's not going to taste good. Okay, so and that's where you have to step in, and you're an adult at that. I mean, that's where you step in. And you're like, I'm a grown up. Like, how many times did I really try this wholeheartedly before I made the decision? I don't like this.
Right.
So what milk, if any, should we be drinking from you personally as a nutritionist, telling me as a patient?
Raw
What
milk.
Raw milk.
Raw milk. And then it can be any raw milk. It could be cow raw milk. You can get camel's milk. You can drink goat milk. I mean, there's so many milks out there. I'm not sure all the rest of them. But some of us genetically should have a different type of milk based on, where we come from. If you have more Arabic, North African genes, you probably thrive better on camel's milk. Some of us thrive better on buffalo milk, or we thrive better on cow milk. I took my kids right before the pandemic to India, and we have American stomachs. If you guys don't know what that means, whenever Americans travel to any third world country, we end up with food poisoning or some sort of bacterial diarrhea nonsense, throwing up thing, it's just common, right? And so my kids don't know anything. So my kids, I was born and raised in America, so that means they're really American, right? And so we went to India, and literally we got off the airplane. We get to the hotel like 3:00 in the morning. We wake up at 7. We're hungry for breakfast. We're at the hotel, and my kids are eating yogurt and having the milk and whatever. And this is not raw milk, but we're just eating the regular old food, and everybody's like, "Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't let your kids eat that." Like, what's gonna happen to the kids? They're going to get diarrhea, and then your trip's going to get ruined. You guys are only here for like 2 weeks. You don't want to ruin your trip by getting diarrhea and getting vomiting and this and that. I'm like, they're fine. Nothing's going to happen to them. They're like, okay. And everybody's just waiting for me and the kids and my husband to fall sick. No, that didn't happen. Then we finally get to the village, because we're from the villages. And in the village.
Oh, so y'all was out. Y'all had to go out there.
Yeah. So first we were in the big city. So we were at a Marriott, so we're talking about eating conventional dairy at the Marriott. We handled that. We went to the village, and that's where the cows and the buffaloes are being milked fresh every morning.
Yeah.
And my aunt is like, well, let me boil the milk. I was like, well, no, don't boil it. Just let them have it like that. And she's like, what? But it's not pasteurized. There could be, you know, disease in there. I'm like, there's no disease in the milk. Just give the kids the milk. They'll be fine. Yeah. And everyone's just waiting to see which one of us are going to end up with parasites and diarrhea or whatever their problem is, you know?
Right.
No, nothing ever happened. Nobody threw up. Nobody nothing. And next thing you know, everybody in the village is coming to our house to ask us questions.
Right.
They're like, these are the first American people and the first American kids to come to India. And why are they drinking all this and nothing's happening? And then my aunt, who has like her American kids, she's like, I have to bring all the food from America to eat here. What did you pack for your kids? I'm like, nothing. They'll just eat whatever we have here. And they're like, and they're not sick, I heard. What? How do you know that? And that's where I have to get into the whole talk about disease and blah, blah, blue, blue, all the stuff we're doing here, you know? And I'm just like, they're fine. So finally we made it back to America. We were all fine. Nothing happened. Everybody pooped every day and life was normal, you know? And that was the big talk of town. My mom, my dad, everybody was just going around saying, they ate everything. Nothing happened to them. It must be because Kajal, you know, the mom is a nutritionist and she was giving them these supplements the whole time and they were doing great. I'm like, there they go. They're finally proud of me again for 5 minutes, you know?
Gotcha again.
Yeah, I was like, so my supplements were good. I was loading them up on like Spanish black radish and some enzymes and things like that. Little supplements.
Spanish black radish.
Yes, it's a good supplement, one of our favorites. But just getting them on these basic supplements and then they could eat whatever. And they were eating from dirty people's hands. Like, have you gone to third world country before? Do you guys know?
Well, I watched the videos.
Yeah, it's just,
I've been over there when I got deployed and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, you have, right?
Yeah.
And the hands are nasty. They're like peeling your food and just the dirtiest hands you could find. And they're touching your food and giving it to you. And even, don't even
get me started with the vendors downtowns in.
It's nasty.
Oh man,
it's nasty. But I did not prep my kids on any of this, and I didn't want to micromanage them. So but I just thought my kids would have enough common sense to not eat from a dirty person's hands like that, you know. But my little girl was like just taking things off those little street vendors and putting them straight in her mouth. And I'm like, oh my God, what is this child doing? And then I was like, Saya, no! It's already in her mouth and chewing it up.
It's like
and I'm
slow
like,
motion.
She's like, what? She's like, wait. I was like, is it because we didn't pay for it, Mom? I'm like, no. It's
so dirty.
I was like, it's just nasty. How did you touch that?
Did you see his hands?
It's the nastiest hands we've ever seen, sweetie. Why would you eat that? You know?
Oh man.
But hey, I guess it was good for their gut and their system, huh?
Yeah.
Do they even sell camel milk? Well, I see you use the Camelicious company still, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I saw that doing my research. But is it in stores?
No. So a lot of this is prescription based. If you need any of this, I could get this for you. But the camel's milk that I have access to is the Qgenics one. And they come in powder form, but they're still raw form. And they come from, let's say each of these camels are insured millions of bucks. Like these aren't just any camels.
Oh, so there's like the golden goose.
These are like the bougie camels.
Right.
Yes. So you're not just getting any old camel's milk. You're getting some nice Arabic top class. You know, they're probably grooming them and, you know, taking them to a spa every day kind of camel.
And even though we're Americanized, me and him both born and raised in America, you as well. But since we're black and brown people, do you think that camel's milk would be more beneficial for us, even though we've been Americanized our whole lives, basically?
Yeah, probably. And then we would just muscle test it. That's how I do things in my office. Nothing should be a guessing game. I should literally be able to put it on the body and help you decide if this is best for you or not. You don't want to waste your money on things that aren't good for you.
Right.
You don't want to invest in something that's not good for you. You should only do exactly what's tailor fit to your body.
And that's what a lot of people are doing, just investing in all these diets.
Oh my God, the amount of money they spend is crazy.
And they're universal diets too. They're not tuned or geared to your body. It's just, okay, that's the hottest diet right now. And such and such lost 30 pounds.
Gotta get it.
Supposedly.
Well, 20% of anybody is going to get a result of anything.
If you start doing something.
Even 20% of the patients I probably see, just the fact that I told them they're going to get better was enough for them to start getting better, you know?
And see, anytime that I would do those type of diets, I lost the weight.
Yeah.
Fast. You know, I felt like I was on like some drugs or something when I stopped doing the keto and got off of carbs and no sugar. got the shakes. And so my doctor was like, nah, you need to just ease back in, because what I try to do I'm guilty of it. Every time I try to do a diet is immediately like I'm doing it today. And you can't put your body in shock like that. Mm-hmm. And so it wasn't good for me to do that. I needed some type of carb either in the afternoon or in the morning, but not at night. So that type of diet was not for me. But what's weird is anytime I would do those diets, I gained the weight back faster.
Plus more?
Yeah, plus more.
Yep, that's about right.
And that's the way it always works.
That's about right. That's the most common thing I hear. What is the point of losing all this weight if you're just going to gain it back?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I mean, it's like going out and doing plastic surgery to make yourself look a certain way because you don't want to exercise or you don't want to eat right. Whatever it is you don't want to do to fix the problem. Sure, you look good for the summer, but you go right back to looking like what you did before. It's a waste of your money, your time, and you don't know what sort of damage you're doing along the way because you're doing things that way. Mm-hmm. But what you want to focus on is a lifestyle change. And lifestyle changes only happen over a lifetime. Mm-hmm. Nothing happens quickly. I honestly don't eat sugar. It's very rare. I told you guys I fussed at my husband today because he gave me something to eat and apparently had some sugar in it. And then he tells me after the fact, after I ate it, I was like, why would you give me that? He's like, well, I didn't know. I'm like, yeah, right. You're trying to sabotage me over here. It's like, I don't want to eat anything on purpose that I know has sugar in it. Because I don't eat sugar and it turns me into a monster and I don't feel good. And it gets me right back to those years that I used to be depressed and not feel well. My diet was no good then. I had a terrible diet and I didn't have a good lifestyle and I was young, so I had no responsibility. But when I got married, I realized, oh, wow, I have more responsibility. I have somebody else in my life now. Mm-hmm. Right. And then I thought, if I will have children someday, what kind of mother will I be if I never get it together?
Right.
You know, and that's where it starts to get tricky because I'll have a lot of women have attitudes with me. They will. And to me, it's just a defense mechanism because I finally put them in their place and said, well, what are you exactly doing to help yourself and to help your children?
Right.
Nobody's looking for perfection. Nobody's saying that you have to be amazing and the best mother ever and the best wife ever. But there are definitely things you can do to have better control over what's going on in your environment and your situation rather than being that effect. What are you doing for cause over it? Are you staying up late and watching TV if you're really that tired, get to bed.
Right.
If you get to bed and get the right amount of rest that your body needs, you're probably going to wake up in the morning actually being a better mother.
Yeah.
Or you might have 5 minutes to fix a real quick breakfast for your family. You just never know what you can do, but you don't know that unless you try it.
Yeah.
And when you have to tell another woman that,
they don't want to hear.
No, it gets, and they get mad. I mean, they get really angry at you.
Because a lot of people just can't handle the truth about themselves.
No, but there are so many people out there that can. Mm-hmm. And I truly try to focus on finding these people and get them to me ASAP. Because the sooner we get you well, the better you can be for your own family and the better you can enjoy your quality of life. It has nothing to do with me.
Right.
And the crazy thing is people are like, well, you're just trying to make money off me. Sure, whatever. I got to make a living. I mean, I do have bills to pay, children, and, I got to, I can't do everything for free. It is what it is.
This isn't pro bono.
No, it's not pro bono, yeah. But at the same time, I'm not afraid to tell a patient, well, most of the money I'm making off of you is today, my dear, because you're starting with me. Mm-hmm. Did you know the healthier you get, I don't make hardly any money off of you.
Right.
Because you're healthy. What sort of profit is there in that?
Like the point of my practice is for you to come in here, me help you get better. Less money you'll have to spend, and eventually you'll be out the door, and I don't have to even see you anymore.
Well,
is that your whole pretty much your plan?
I won't let them not ever see me again because their bodies change so much. Mm-hmm. So I do like to keep them something on a maintenance program, which is the trickiest thing. People don't understand that we're so used to like doctor's offices. Like you go when something's wrong, but you don't go when nothing's wrong.
Right.
Or even your own doctor will say, "Well, this is what I'm prescribing. If you don't feel better, come back." But there's something called wellness checks.
Yeah.
Don't you want to make sure that you are still doing well? Mm-hmm. Wouldn't you want to know that you're still doing well before you actually get sick? Mm-hmm. If there was a way of quote unquote preventing something, wouldn't you want to try your all to do that?
Yep.
You would think so, but none of us do until everything's at stake.
Yeah.
And all this money that we're making to retire someday, to live this magical retirement dream, whatever it is, travel, move to the country, whatever it is people have planned. Do you really think any of us are really going to be able to do any of that? All the money that we're making, we're going to end up spending in medical bills.
Yeah.
That's why the daytime commercials are showing you about reverse mortgages, this, that. The system is created to make you ill so that you will spend all your money pouring it back in to yourself and leaving your children nothing behind too, and not having anything to take care of your own self with.
Tell that truth. Tell that truth.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so if you're not bold enough to understand that or to even see it that way, then you don't have a chance. You really don't have a chance.
I've got one last quick question I wanted to ask.
Do it.
What is in your eyes, the biggest misconception of nutrition or / being a nutritionist?
That they just want you to work on weight loss. Nutritionists, people see nutritionists because they have weight problems.
Right.
And that nutritionists are going to help them with weight loss.
Right. That's far from what really is happening.
That's far from what I do. Whenever somebody comes in and they tell me the number one reason they're there to see me is because they need help with weight loss. And many times they tell me it's because so-and-so or the doctor said if they lose the weight, then they'll get better, etc. But then I'll see number 2 says fatigue. Number 3 says energy. Number 4 says I don't have a good memory. And number 5 says I have no sex drive. So in my head, I'm thinking, but you have no energy. How are you going to lose weight? You don't even have energy to have sex. How are you going to lose weight?
Yeah. Right.
You know, I mean, there's obviously a lot more going on in your life that's affecting your ability or inability to lose weight.
Yeah.
I was like, how about if we fix those other things? What do you think will happen? You will lose weight. So as a nutritionist, it's important to me to really get to what the real problem is so that you can lose the weight, you know, but I just think there's so many nutritionists out there that just talk about weight loss. And some of these nutritionists out there are talking about weight loss and gut health, or they're over explaining things too. And I think it creates more chaos and confusion for the average human being out there that's already so busy. If I just say, I just need 10 minutes a week with you to check in with you. I want to see how you're eating. I want to give you your next step on what you need to do so you can handle your next piece of diet. Here are your supplements. Keep taking the same ones, or I tweak these for you. And I'll see you again next week.
Right.
10 minutes. I just need 10 minutes. Yeah, it's got to be simple.
That's what you said earlier. Yeah, simple.
Simple.
Yeah,
The
simple.
basics.
Keep it simple.
Yeah, keep it simple and basic.
Yes.
Nothing wrong with that.
All right, so we definitely enjoyed ourselves. And
Hey, this is a great
what I want to
conversation.
do is I want to really come back for a part 2, because I think we
love
can
that.
really keep going.
I think so too.
But, when we get to the end of the podcast, we like to do this little game called 5 words. So Jay Steve's gonna ask you a couple of questions, which is gonna be 5 words, and then you give your first answer that comes to your head. So like an example, nutrition, and then you give your word.
It's fast.
Got it. So, all right.
Y'all just killed
Took one of your words.
2 at the same time. Because she hit you with the other. That's all right.
Hey, run it.
Run it. We're going to run either way, though. Like he said, nutrition, you know, fast.
Fast.
Special needs.
Chaos.
Diet.
Junk.
Disease.
Problems.
And let me see. So let's just go ahead with a bonus one.
So she took your other one.
Simplicity.
Very easy.
All right.
All right. All right.
Did you like my sophisticated answer? With all the degrees and credentials I have.
I loved it.
All right. Give it up for Kajal Patel.
Yes.
Hey.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thank
I'm
you.
so excited.
This was
Thank
great.
you.
And
Thank you.
definitely want to get you back. So, like I said, I hope you enjoyed this topic today on nutrition. We will be having her back for a part 2, because like I
Yes.
said, there's some other stuff that we really want to get into. As we were just sitting here talking to her, I just came up with like 30 more questions. So I kind of want to keep digging deep into nutrition and lifestyle. And also we want to talk more about culture, you know? So, appreciate you checking us out. I'm your host, BK.
And I'm your host, J. Steve.
Peace.
So I'm Kajal Patel. I'm the owner of Svast Nutrition. I'm also the nutritionist there. And if you're interested in my services, remember I do nutrition response testing. Our website is www.svastnutrition.com. So SVAST nutrition.com. You can call us and get yourself scheduled for an initial consultation. And that's where I decide if you are a nutrition response testing case, if we can help you. And then based on that, we put together individualized programs. Thank you.